Hey friends, we're going to continue with fractions today, and I want to talk a little bit about fraction models, which means ways we can see a fraction or the ways they could be represented. So you're going to probably see lots of different pictures and different ways to show a fraction, and I want you to be able to do all of them. So this is a set, okay? So you might see fractions as part of a set. So let's say this is just a set of erasers, right? There are 4 that are shaded and 2 that are not, but all together I have 6, right? 6 is my denominator, the total number, whether they're shaded or not, missing or not. That's the total number that goes in the bottom. That's the whole thing. What goes on top is whatever they're asking you, the parts and the pieces. Okay, so in this case, there are 4 shaded ones. But what if I asked you how many are unshaded? Right? You would count 2. There's still 6 altogether. So the unshaded ones would be 2, 6. Okay, so you really have to pay attention to those directions and what they're asking you to do. So this is a set, groups of things. You might see fractions in shapes. Okay, so this one has 1 out of 4 shaded, 1/4, or I could say it has 3 out of 4 unshaded. So 3/4 would be unshaded. Okay, here's 1 out of 2, and here I have to really count. So I like to start where there are no colors. You can do it however you want. That way I can kind of keep track. And if I have paper and pencil and I can mark them off as I'm counting, I might want to do that too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, so there are 8 total pieces. That would be my denominator. And then, if I'm talking about the shaded pieces, that would be 3 out of 8, or 3/8 that are shaded. Okay? So a set, you might see shapes. You might see fractions on a number line. So this number line, the arrows on the end tell you that it continues on. And remember, I said yesterday, these are whole numbers. 0 and 1 are whole numbers, but there are numbers in between, and that's where the fractions come in. So halfway in between 1 and 0 is 1/2, right? Here's one piece, here's a second piece. I like to we loop these. So there's 1, and here's our second half, okay? You also might see them as fraction bars, and I mentioned yesterday I like to use breadsticks a lot. Okay, all of these fraction bars are the same length, right? They're all the same size, they're just cut into different number of pieces. And if you remember, as that denominator gets larger, the piece actually gets smaller because you're having to share it with more people. So remember that funny little joke, the bigger the bottom, the smaller the piece. Okay? If you've got a big bottom, you want to eat a small piece of cake, not a big one. But you don't want your bottom to get bigger, right? So the bigger the bottom, the smaller the piece. So we're going to work today on fraction bars and on number lines. And if you remember yesterday, in our book, they had all of these marked for us. Today we're going to have to do our own drawing. Okay, so you're going to have to pay real good attention. Let's flip in our book. We're going to be on page 247 to start. Okay, and let's review some of those vocabulary words from yesterday. Remember, we talked about the parts of a fraction, right? And a fraction is a number that represents, right, parts and pieces of something. So look at, there's a shape and there's a set. Remember the top part of a fraction? That's called the numerator, right? The number on top. That shows the parts. On the bottom, we have the denominator. That's the one that starts with a D, down, down denominator. This is my total number of pieces altogether. Okay? So this is my part, this is my whole. And then we talked about those unit fractions. Remember, a unit fraction always has the number 1 as the numerator. That's the number on top. So each piece is a unit fraction. And in this case, because there are 4 of them, each piece is worth 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. Okay, and that equals a whole. 4 pieces equal 1 whole. So today we're going to look, like I said, on page 247. Okay, we've got some things to do here. So I want to make sure you pay attention to the directions. Let's look at the top. Okay, it says divide the fraction bars into unit fractions. Okay, so each piece is going to be the same amount. So let's put a number 1, because that's the first thing we have to do. Then we have to shade each fraction bar to show the fraction. Okay, they give me a fraction here, and I have to show that on my fraction bar. But first, I have to cut it into the right number of pieces. So this is my second step, shading. Okay, and then I have to write the sum of the unit fractions under the shaded parts. Remember that word sum? We talked a lot about that yesterday. This is going to be our third step. So there's a lot that we have to do. We're going to write the sum of the unit fractions. Okay, the previous page, that's what we did yesterday, right? Adding all these unit fractions together to show the amount of shaded pieces. Okay, so let's start and let's look at number 1. They've done it for us to start with, right? Here's one long fraction bar. On the top, it's showing you it's 1 whole. So this is 1 whole breadstick. Okay, this denominator is going to tell me how many pieces my breadstick needs to be in. Okay, here's something that's going to be kind of tricky to understand, but if you really think about it and you practice this when you're cutting your fraction bars into the right number of pieces, I think it will be easier. Okay, this number on the bottom, like I just said, tells us how many pieces our whole is going to be in, right? So this needs to be in 6 pieces. I'm going to take this number, and if it's an even number, is 6 an even number? It is, right? I'm going to cut that in half. I'm going to divide that by 2. So 6 divided by 2. Count by 2s up to 6. 2, 4, 6. I'm going to do that 3 times. Okay, and you're going to see why this is important. First thing I'm going to do, because it's an even number, I can cut my fraction bar in half in 2 equal pieces. Okay, so you can see one piece here, my second piece here. Okay, and because it's an even number, and I did this calculation here, this tells me how many pieces each side needs to be in. So this side needs to be in 3 equal pieces, and this side needs to be in 3 equal pieces. Okay, remember, fractions are equal parts. It's kind of hard to do it, so sometimes you just have to eyeball it, and you might have to go back and take your eraser and change it. It's called trial and error. You just try, doesn't work, you erase it and you fix it. Okay, they've done this one for us. Here's 3 equal pieces, right? Notice we only had to do 2 lines, but we've got 3 pieces. So here is 1 out of 6. I'm going to write it down here. Here is 1/6. Here is 1/6. Right? Because there are 6 pieces. Each of these pieces is worth 1/6, right? Okay, so they shaded in the 1/6. Okay. We're going to try to do this next one. Okay, so we're just going to label 1/6. Go ahead and erase these. We don't want to add those on there because what they're asking us to do is show 1/6 of this fraction bar. So here is all 6 pieces, but here's 1/6 that is shaded. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to circle my denominator because that's going to tell me how many equal pieces my whole breadstick, my whole fraction bar needs to be in. Is 3 an even number? Can I give 1 to a friend and 1 to another friend and keep doing that and have 0 left over? If I can't, that's odd. So then that's an odd number. 3 is an odd number. I cannot split my bar right in half. I just have to eyeball, like I said before. I have to make this bar into 3 equal pieces. Okay? However many pieces I'm going to cut, I do one less line. So I don't draw 3 lines, I'm only going to draw 2 lines. Here's what I like to do. I like to put my fingers about where I think it looks like they're equal pieces, right? If I drew a line here and a line here, are those 3 equal pieces? They're not. So that would not be a good fraction bar. They have to be as close as you can get, as close as equal. And it's hard to do it when you're drawing, okay? But look, I think about right here looks about right. I'm going to just do a light pencil sketch. And if I think it's not quite right, I can erase it and I can fix it. I can adjust it. I can move it over a little bit if I need to. Okay, that looks pretty good, right? They're not perfect, but they're pretty close. Now I need to shade 2/3. So I have 1, 2, 3 equal pieces. So far so good. And I need to shade 2 of them. Remember yesterday I said we always start shading like we do reading a book. We start on the left. And we shade one whole piece and our second piece. Okay, now that I know I like where my lines are, I can go back and darken those in. You want to be able to see your separate pieces. Okay? And then now, so I've divided my fraction bar into unit fractions because each one is worth 1/3. 1 piece, 2 pieces, 3 pieces. I shaded to match the fraction they gave me. And now I have to write the sum of the unit fractions underneath. So I'm going to write this unit fraction is worth 1 out of 3 pieces plus this 1/3. Is that equal? Remember, our denominator stays the same. I can just add my ones together. So that is 2/3, which matches, right, the fraction they gave me. Okay, so let's try another one. Ooh, this one's got 8 pieces. Oh my goodness. Circle that denominator because that tells me how many equal pieces. I have to have 8 of them. And then I'm going to ask myself, is 8 an even number? And if it is, I can start by splitting my fraction bar right down the middle. Is 8 an even number? It is. So I'm going to go here and draw a light line to cut my fraction bar in half. Okay? Just like I did in my first problem, I'm going to divide 8 in half into 2 pieces. Count by 2s up to 8. And I'm going to do that 4 times. So that tells me that each side needs to be in 4 equal pieces. Okay? Well, 4 is an even number. I can cut that right in half again. So there's 2 pieces. And now it's in 4 pieces. I can do the same thing on the other side. Right down the middle. And each of those in half. And then I'm going to double check because I should have how many pieces? 8 altogether. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I feel really good about that. I'm looking to see, are they all uniform? Are they all the same size? They look pretty good, right? So then I'm going to go back and I'm going to darken in so I can separate my unit fractions so you can see them. Okay, now you're not going to take forever to do that, right? This doesn't need to be perfect, but it does need to be neat. Now I have to shade 7/8 of them. Well, 7 out of 8, it's going to leave one that's not shaded, right? Okay, that's why I want you to shade them. You don't need to color very dark, but you want to be able to see it. And you also want to have enough of the shading that you can tell that it's shaded in, okay? So now I've divided my fraction bar like the directions tell me. I've shaded them like it tells me. Now I have to write the sum. Okay, so when I write the sum of the unit fractions. Remember, a unit fraction always has 1 as the denominator or as the numerator. So this is going to be 1 out of 8 pieces. I'm going to add another unit fraction, another unit fraction, and writing it right underneath the shaded piece. I'm going to go back and double check. I'm supposed to have 7 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I did it. That equals 7/8. That's my matching fraction. There's the proof that I did what I was supposed to do. Okay. Let's try one more. Okay, let's hop down and do number 5. Okay, 5/6. Okay, so I'm going to circle that. And I know that my fraction bar is going to be in 6 equal pieces. Okay. Then I'm going to ask myself, is that an even number? And if it is, I can cut it right in half. Right? We learned from the very first one that it is an even number. So I'm going to divide that in half, right? And this is going to tell me how many pieces each of my halves, each side needs to be in. So here's again where I have to use my eyeballs, and I just kind of have to say, all right, where would it look like 3 equal pieces? Maybe there, maybe there. Does that look like about the same size? This one's a little big, so I think I'm going to move that one over. Move this one over a little bit. Let's see, does that look like 3 equal pieces? Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm comfortable with that. That's why I do it really lightly at first. Okay, so I've done one of my halves into 3 pieces. Now I'm going to do this half in 3 equal pieces. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to kind of mark it. Oh, that doesn't look very good, does it? Try again. That's why we love an eraser. How's that? Doesn't look too bad. My denominator tells me it's 6 equal pieces. Let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, I did it. 6 equal pieces. Now I have to shade 5/6. So I have to shade 1, 2, and you're not doing this. That's not shading. 3, 4, and 5. Okay, you can see that didn't take me that long. Now I have to write the sum of my unit fractions to prove that I shaded 5/6. Here's 1/6, right? Because the denominator is a 6. And a unit fraction always has 1 as the denominator. Here's 1/6. Okay? Don't get confused between how many pieces and the denominator. The denominator does not change. There are still 6 pieces here. I'm just representing one at a time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? Easy peasy, right? Might take us a little while. Might be a little trial and error when we have to cut that fraction bar into the right number of pieces. Okay, but you just have to slow down and take your time. So remember when I showed you that poster at the very beginning, different ways to show fractions, right? These are the fraction bars that we just did. Okay, we're going to flip our page and we're going to work on number lines. The only difference is that instead of it being like a thick breadstick, now it's like a piece of licorice. Okay, so let's flip on the back to page 248. Let's look at that. Let's read those directions. First, there's a really good transition word. Divide each number line into the correct unit fractions. Then, another good one. So here's my second step. Label each point. Show the target fraction by looping the unit fractions that make it. Okay, that's kind of confusing, but let me show you what to do. This isn't any different than what we just did on the other page. Okay, instead of it being a breadstick, like I said, now it's a piece of licorice. Okay, I love black licorice. I love all licorice, but I also love black licorice. Not everybody does. Look at number 7. I have to show 1/6. So I know that my piece of licorice has to be in 6 equal pieces. Okay, now here's my 0, here's my 1. My number line can go on in both directions, and you'll learn about, right, you know what bigger numbers are, but you'll learn about numbers below 0, which are called negative numbers. You'll learn about those not in 3rd grade and not in 4th grade. Okay, so don't worry about that. This just tells you that it goes on. I need to cut this into 6 equal pieces. Right? 6 is an even number, so right away I know I can split it in half. Remember how I did before? Showing 6 divided by 2 into 2 pieces. That was 3. Okay, so I know that each of these sides needs to be in 3 equal pieces. 3 is not an even number, so this is where I have to use my eyeballs again. And see, that doesn't look too bad. Same thing with this half. Let's try that. Okay, I've done it for a long time, so I know pretty much how to divide something into 6 pieces, but you might just be starting, so take your time. Okay, when I look here, this piece looks a little smaller than this piece, so I'm going to change that. I'm going to move this over. So I want to get it as equal as I can. Okay, now I'm going to check. From 0, do I have what I call hops? How many hops should I have? I should have 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hops. Okay, 6 spaces. Remember, I'm just looking from 0 to 1 in between there. Okay, so if I have 6 hops here, right, and I want to show 1/6 on my number line, and then I'm going to loop that to show that. Okay, so looking at number 7, right, each of these spots is going to be a unit fraction. So here is my first stop. That's going to be 1/6. Okay, what would be my next stop? That was 1 hop. 2 hops out of my 6 is 2/6. I'm labeling this one a little bit different, aren't I? I'm not using unit fractions. This is my 3rd hop out of 6, my 4th hop out of 6, and my 5th hop out of 6. Okay, this is labeling each point on my number line. Okay, with our fraction bars on the previous page, right, we show unit fractions. It's not a number line, but this is a number line. So there's all these different spots on the number line. Every time I hop, I start at 0. I do not count until I land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, if I keep going, that would be my 6th hop out of 6. Do you see how the number on the top and the number on the bottom are the same? That just equals 1. When the number on the top and the number on the bottom are the same, it equals 1 whole. Okay, and there's your proof right there. 6 hops out of 6. I did them all. What I need to do is I need to loop my unit fraction, right? 0, we didn't hop, right? So we could even label this 0 out of 6. Right? I haven't done anything yet. I want to show 1/6. So I'm going to hop there, and then I'm going to loop that back to show you my 1/6 piece on my number line. Okay? If it had 2 as my numerator, I'd have to do a second hop, right? So I can get to 2, 6, but I only have to do 1, all right? Let's go down and let's try number 10. We're going to hop down here. 2/4, okay? My number line has to be in 4 equal pieces. 4 is an even number, so I know right away I can start by cutting my number line in half, right? I just did this. 4, and I'm going to divide it in half, divide it by 2, 2, 4. I'm going to count 2 times, right? 2 times 2 equals 4. So each of these pieces, my new pieces that I just drew, have to be in 2 equal pieces. So look at that. 2 is an even number. I can cut it in half again. Let's check. Do I have 4 pieces? I start at 0. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, 4 equal pieces. Okay, so I know my denominator is always going to be 4. Let's label this one 0, 4. Right, 0/4. There's nothing. I haven't done anything. Once I go 1 hop, now I've gone 1 hop out of 4. Keep going, and I go 2 hops out of 4. 1, 2, 3 hops out of 4. And you remember what happens at 1? The number on the top and the number on the bottom. The numerator and denominator are exactly the same. It's my 4th hop out of 4. That equals 1. I have to loop and show 2/4 on this number line. Start at 0. Here's 1 hop. Here's my 2nd hop. Okay, I landed at 2/4. This is showing 1, 2 hops out of the 4 I could go. All right, we're going to do one more. This one, 5, 6. My number line needs to be in 6 pieces. Right away I know that's an even number, so I can cut my number line in half. 6 cut in half, which is the same thing as dividing it by 2, equals 3. Each side needs to be in 3 equal pieces. You're probably getting pretty good at eyeballing those 3 pieces on each side. Right? Remember, lightly with your pencil. I'm going to start at 0 out of my 6 pieces. So now I'm going to hop 1, 6, 1, 2 out of 6, 1, 2, 3. Ooh, what comes next? Keep going. Double check. Do I have them all? 1 hop, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? I don't want to have more than that because my number line is only in 6 equal pieces. Now I have to show this target fraction, 5, 6. I have to show that by looping the unit fractions that make it. So let's do this. Let's hop all the way to 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now I can come back underneath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That shows that I've got 5, 6, right? And I have 1 that's not looped. Okay? So remember, lots of different ways to show a fraction. Okay? The fraction bars are very similar. These are breadsticks. And now we're working on some licorice. All right? Take your time. Use your math journal to go back and help you when you're doing your homework. All right? That's what it's there for. And if you are getting confused and you're feeling a little frustrated, remember that live math is at 11 o'clock on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And you are always welcome to come.